welcome to Spectrum News at 9. My name is Xavier Robert, coming to you live from the beautiful hills of Ibiakuran. Let's take a look at the headlines. Vice President STVNg says they are proud of achievements as government. Federal government invites private sector for development of cargo allied terminals in Nigeria. First grain shipment leaves Ukraine as southern city pounded. Details of these stories and more in a moment. We begin the news tonight with a report that Vice President STVNg has observed that the federal government needs to take steps that will put them ahead of terrorists and bandits wreaking havoc across the country. He said the nation's current security challenges and emerging threats require the military and other relevant stakeholders to be on the alert while also stepping up local production of armaments. This was one of the highlights of STVNg's response after receiving a presentation on defense, transportation, transformation and national security strategic options for Nigeria of the future by the National Defense College course 30 participants during a virtual interaction. While making a case for improved investment in defense industries cooperation, and the Vice President said every country in the world takes advantage of the crisis situation that it faces, commending the course participants for their efforts in proposing innovations in the defense sector. STVNg also spoke about the need for transparency in the management of resources meant for the acquisition of hardware for the defense and security agencies. In another development, it has emerged that the federal government may be considering the deployment of armed guard across high-risk states to protect institutions of learning and end terrorist attacks on schools in the country. Speaking at a high-level summit on safeguarding the schools in Abuja, the Minister of Finance, Budget and National Planning, Zainab Ahmed, said the federal government was committed to protecting the nation's schools from further terrorist attacks. The minister said government was working through an interagency committee which was consulting widely in order to achieve the goal. Away from that, federal government says about 3.6 million indirect jobs have been created from $1.1 billion worth of externally funded projects being implemented by the Buhari-led government. Minister of Agriculture Muhammad Abubakar said this while featuring on the ministerial media briefing organized by the Presidential Communications team at the Presidential Villa, Abuja. The minister said $538 million was approved for special agricultural processing zones to support inclusive and sustainable agricultural development in Nigeria. Abubakar further stated that another project worth $575 million was being implemented to improve rural access and agricultural marketing in participating states, while strengthening the financing institutional base for effective development, maintenance, and management of rural roads network. He gave the participating states as Akwa Ibom, Bauchi, Kano, Katsina, Kogi, Kwara, Kebbi, Ogun, Ondo, Oyo, Plateau, and Sokoto states. Meanwhile, the Minister of Agriculture, Muhammad Abubakar, says food production has not dropped in spite of the protracted security challenges in the country. Speaking during the weekly ministerial briefing at the State House, Abuja, Abubakar acknowledged that the insurgency inhibiting farmers from accessing their farms, particularly in the northwest, northeast, and north central, was a concern for the federal government. He, however, maintained that food production continued at an appreciable level for most parts of the country. To legislative matters now, where House of Representatives has threatened to stop the Tertiary Education Trust Fund (TET Fund) from funding state tertiary institutions. A member of the House of Representatives Committee on Tertiary Education and Services, Aminu Suleiman, said TET Fund should mandate state institutions benefiting from its interventions to submit reports of their operations within 3 weeks. Suleiman warned that the committee would stop TET Fund from funding institutions that fail to submit the reports of their operations. He disclosed this when he led members of the House of Representatives Committee on Tertiary Education and Services on an oversight visit to the TET Fund Executive Secretary, Architect Sani Echono. Suleiman lamented that state governors have abandoned their duties of funding tertiary institutions to TET Fund. Away from that, the Socio-Economic Rights and Accountability Project (SARAP) is asking for the immediate refund of the 1.4 billion naira given to Niger Republic for the purchase of official vehicles by President Buhari. SARAP made the demand on its verified Twitter handle. Recall that the Minister of Finance, Zainab Ahmed, had confirmed that the federal government approved 1.4 billion naira for the supply of vehicles to the Republic of Niger to help the country fight insecurity. On electoral matters now, Independent National Electoral Commission (INEC) on Thursday projected a voter population of about 95 million for the 2023 general election in the country. INEC Chairman Mahmoud Yakubu said this at an election security management training in Abuja by the Nigeria Police Force for security personnel ahead of the 2023 general election. Yakubu said the figure was 20 million higher than the combined voter population of the 14 other West African countries in the sub-region. He said the election preparations, deployment and implementation constituted the most extensive mobilization that could happen in a country, whether in peacetime or wartime. Away from that, a court in the United Kingdom has adjourned the case involving the former Deputy Senate President Ike Ekweremadu till October 31. According to the media outfit, Ekweremadu will be remanded in custody until the next adjourned date. Ekweremadu, who is the lawmaker representing Enugu West Senatorial District, and his wife Beatrice are facing allegations of organ harvesting. His wife was granted bail last week. Now recall that Ike was charged by the UK Metropolitan Police with conspiracy to facilitate the travel of another person for organ harvesting. To politics now, where the All Progressives Congress (APC) has announced Plateau Governor Simon Lalong as Director General of the Bola Tinubu presidential campaign. APC Chairman Senator Abdullahi Adamu disclosed this to State House correspondents after meeting with President Muhammadu Buhari at the presidential villa. He was accompanied by the presidential candidate of the APC, Asiwaju Bola Tinubu, Vice Presidential candidate Senator Kashim Shettima, and Lalong. The chairman also announced Festus Keyamo as the interim spokesman and Hanatu Musawa as the deputy spokesman. Still in politics, the presidential candidate of the People's Democratic Party, Atiku Abubakar, has designated former lawmaker Dino Melaye and Dr. Daniel Bwala to serve as his spokesperson for the 2023 presidential campaign. Media advisor to the presidential candidate Paul Ibe, in a statement today, said the two nominations are to take effect without delay. Atiku has also nominated Lynn Bassey as Special Assistant on Gender Issues and Women Advancement, whose nomination took effect from August 1. Recall that the former vice president had on Tuesday, July 5, 2022, added 3 media aides to his campaign team, namely Eta Usor, Abdul Rashid Shehu, and Demola Olanrewaju. Meanwhile, Chief of the Air Staff, Air Marshal Oladayo Amal, has approved immediate appointment and redeployment of new branch chiefs, air officers commanding, and other senior officers. The shake-up is coming 48 hours after his directive to Air Force operational and air component commanders to maximize the deployment of firepower against terrorists and other criminal elements. The newly appointed and redeployed senior officers are expected to assume their new offices on or before tomorrow. The Chief of Air Staff urged the appointees to be proactive and synergize with sister services towards eliminating the threats, particularly posed by terrorists in the country. Still on security now, police have announced plans to offer nationwide training to its officers and men on election security management through a workshop to be done in collaboration with experts and other security agencies. This is said to be part of the Inspector General of Police reform and upgrade agenda to strengthen and build the capacity of the force in preparation for the 2023 general election. The IGP Usman said the leadership of the police had kick-started targeted and specialized efforts to enhance the capacity of its officers to meet the force's obligations in the national and interagency quest for a fair, peaceful, secure, and credible electoral process next year. The IGP noted that the election security management workshop slated for next month would feature sessions led by legal and security experts, including top officers of the armed forces. He said the experts will provide lessons on the legal and security framework guiding the roles and actions of the police and how to facilitate and maintain an interagency collaboration, including with the media, to ensure a hitch-free exercise. Elsewhere, authorities of the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency (NDLEA) have destroyed about 120 tons of seized drugs in the Badagry area of Lagos State. NDLEA Chairman, Chief Executive Brigadier General Buba Marwa disclosed this during a press briefing in Lagos, stating that the drugs are those seized in the Lagos zone within the last 2 years. Meanwhile, the seizure consists of bags of cannabis, also called Indian hemp, cartons of tramadol, cough syrup laced with codeine, cocaine, and heroin, amongst other illicit items. Meanwhile, Breonna State Governor Samuel Otom has revealed that the unprovoked attacks by Fulani terrorists on unarmed people of the state since 2011 have claimed more than 5,000 lives in the state. Governor Otom spoke today during the passing out parade of the first batch of 500 personnel of Breonna State Community Volunteer Guards at the IBB Square, Makati. The governor noted that the worsening insecurity in the country has complicated Breonna State's security situation, as other forms of criminality have started creeping in due to the federal government's refusal to decisively address insecurity. Governor Otom said it was due to the failure of the federal government that the state government decided to revisit the Breonna Vigilante Law of 2000, which was enacted to complement the conventional security agencies in the state to address emerging security issues. He explained that the law had to be amended by his administration to pave the way for the community volunteer guards to assist the conventional security agencies to curb insecurity in the state. To Plateau State now, where government has revoked the licenses of all nursery, primary and secondary schools in the state. Commissioner for Education Elizabeth Wampum, who announced this at a press conference, said the decision was taken after 5,000 private schools were discovered to be operating without a license. The commissioner noted that about 90% of the schools did not adhere to government policies and mandates. He said that all private nursery, primary, junior secondary and senior secondary schools in the state will have to revalidate their certification. Back here, Akwa Ibom State High Court in Uyo has sentenced Uduak Frank Akpan, the first accused in the murder of Inubong Omorin, to die by hanging. In the over 2 hours judgment by the presiding judge Basing Kanang, the convict was found guilty of rape and murder. On the first count for murder, he was sentenced to be hung on the neck till he dies, and sentenced to life imprisonment on the second count of rape. Uduak's father, Frank Akpan, and his sister, Awan Basi, who are the second and third accused, were however discharged and acquitted. It would be recalled that Umorin, a graduate of philosophy, University of Uyo, was killed in April 2021 while job hunting and awaiting mobilization for the compulsory National Youth Service Corps NYC scheme. Speaking after the court judgment, the Attorney General and Commissioner for Justice of the state, Uko Udom, applauded the manner of the denouement of the case and addressed other issues regarding appeal by the convict and the mild drama after judgment in which the convict attempted to escape the courtroom. In the meantime, the siblings of the deceased, led by Ifyo Omorin, showed gratitude for the verdict, but appealed that government both at the national and state levels should do more in terms of youth empowerment through job creation. They noted with grim that though their sister has found justice, it does not in any way bring her back to life. Ifyo particularly pointed out that her sister died while searching for a job, and she herself was still ironically unemployed.
Well, I don't think it's something to be surprised about. This young man committed some very grievous offenses and very gruesome offenses. And if you follow the facts of the case, you would not put it past him to do something drastic and do something as bad as he attempted to do here. And I think the security officials were very, very attentive, and that's why they were able to overcome him and put him up. But let me not stop without commending the Nigerian police force and the officers of the DSS.
I want to very particularly thank God for today. The gruesome murder of Inubong Omorin is a matter that reverberated across the globe. And we were looking forward to this day. Whatever happens, justice has been done. And I used the opportunity to commend His Lordship, the trial judge, who went bent over backwards to accommodate this matter and finish the trial and up to judgment within 9 months. I also want to use the opportunity to thank His Excellency, the Governor of Akwa Ibom State, and Her Excellency, the wife of the Governor, that led a protest and brought it to the fore, to the consciousness of the public, as at the time this incident occurred. It's a landmark case, and we don't need to say much. Justice has been done, and this shows that crime does not pay. There is no condition that will justify a crime. That is why the law has not made exception. When you commit a crime, you pay for what you have committed. There is no social circumstances that will absolve you when you have the consequences of crime hang on your head.
Yeah, I am also doing a case of my sister that went to look for a job and she died at the process. So talking about government doing something about the jobless situation of some Nigerians in this country, it's something that you should look into. Presently, as I speak, I still repeat myself, I am jobless. I am, but I'm a graduate too. It's not like I didn't go to school. At least I have the criteria that one should have a job and a good.
Still in Akwa Ibom, the chairman and CEO TAF and Associates Tony Afia has announced the birth of the first privately owned dialect-speaking radio station in Akwa Ibom State, Tangsio 102.7 FM. We now bring you the special broadcast by our CEO Tony Afia.
It is my great pleasure to address you all, and I am particularly very pleased to be able to once again address those of you that have been with us from inception, as well as those of you who are new to the Planet Radio and Spectrum Television platforms. As an ardent listener and follower of the TAP Media Group, I am certain you have observed the frequent interruptions in our transmission and sometimes non-operation for some time now. This is as a result of the devastating damage caused by a massive thunder strike on our installations in the Spectrum TV, Planet Radio stations, and on our power generating plants. This happened a few months after the completion of the periodic reinforcement of our earthing system. We want to very sincerely and unreservedly tender our apologies for all the inconveniences and the quality infotainment you've missed due to the unfortunate lightning incident. The wise man said, "It is not how many times you fall, but how courageous and determined you are to get up, dust yourself and move on, that matters." So we have left no stone unturned in our effort to return to full capacity transmission. The challenges we have faced in the past few weeks afforded us the time to reflect on the goodwill shown to us by our listeners, viewers, clients, and partners. So I convey here the sentiment of immense appreciation shared by the board, management, and staff of TAF Media Group to our esteemed listeners and viewers for your unwavering support, loyalty, and sustained patronage. You all are truly the reason for our existence. Our years of operating in a sector such as ours that is constantly and rapidly evolving is an achievement that we are particularly proud of. We are honored to be here, and even more so to have done it on the back of our consistent, strong values of discipline and high quality service, all the while raising our profile and prominence in the industry. Esteemed listeners and viewers, recall that Planet Radio came alive when people least expected it. When it did, well-meaning individuals in the state proposed that the vision of establishing the first privately owned and indigenous radio stations was a burden shared by many, but actualized first by TAF and Associate. In the same vein, and as part of our continued effort to get into closer contact with the people through our wider coverage of radio and programming, I announce to you the introduction and commencement of an entirely indigenous language radio station into the TAF Media Group brands, effective Monday, August 1st, 2022. For us at TAF Media Group, the emergence of Tangsio 102.7 FM, as the station is so called, is particularly thrilled and momentous, as it is aimed at catering for the information, education, and entertainment needs of the mass of our indigenous populace that hitherto have not been catered for with our English language broadcast on Planet Radio. Our objective is to build a profitable, sustainable, and contributing company for the enlightenment and development of our people. And we know that in order to achieve this, the happiness and satisfaction of our teeming listeners and viewers is the priority. Tangsio 102.7 FM will be broadcast exclusively in Ibibio, Anang, Oro, and Efik languages. And in doing this, we will continue to uphold the best standards of professionalism in the conduct of our business, even as we will continue to push for more innovative ways of serving the people better. I would like to express my sincere gratitude to members of the board and the entire staff of TAF Media Group who have been doing their very best in their respective positions, especially to the engineering staff who are devoting their effort to ensuring smooth operations in spite of the challenging times. This for me is profound and indispensable for this new leap. Above all, I gratefully acknowledge the support and sustained patronage of the government of Akwa Ibom State, clients and partners, and once again, the goodwill of our listeners and viewers. We hope and believe that Tangsio 102.7 will be of immense benefit to our people as it will help expand the space for social-political engagement, entertainment, and the advancement of our dear state. Definitely, Tangsio will be a greater envy of our competition. Finally, TAF Media Group sincerely appreciates the good people of Ibiakuran for their unceasing support in ensuring that our assets are secured. May the Almighty God continue to bless TAF Media Group, Ibiakuran people, Akwa Ibom State, and the Federal Republic of Nigeria.
Still to come in the news. Bank of England warns the UK will fall into recession this year. Do stay with us. For staying tuned, we move on now to Africa, where Senegal's opposition has called for the suspension of the publication of the results of Sunday's legislative elections to examine its complaints over alleged irregularities and fraud. Recall that both the government and opposition camps are claiming victory after Sunday's vote to renew the 165 seats in the National Assembly, which is largely controlled by the presidential. The polls, which is the last before presidential elections in 2024, were an important test for Sall after local elections in January saw the opposition win in major cities, including the capital Dakar in the south and Thies in the west. On the foreign scene, Taiwan has accused China of imitating North Korea by firing missiles into the sea around the island. Taiwan said China launched 11 ballistic missiles into waters around Taiwan's northeast and southwest coasts. The launches just miles from the coast followed U.S. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi's visit to Taiwan yesterday. North Korea, which is a strong ally of China's, has been accused of igniting tensions in the region by repeatedly launching missile tests in recent months. Still on the foreign scene, a Russian court has sentenced U.S. basketball star Breonna to 9 years in prison on drug charges. She was also ordered to pay a fine of 1 million rubles. Breonna pleaded guilty to drug charges, but has denied deliberately breaking the law. The 31-year-old Olympic gold medalist was detained in February at an airport near Moscow when verb cartridges containing cannabis oil were found in her luggage. Cannabis is illegal in Russia. Bregonia's defense team said they would appeal against today's verdict by the court in Khimki near Moscow. Meanwhile, 4 United States police officers have been arrested and charged over the fatal 2020 shooting of Breonna Taylor. Taylor was reportedly killed in her home in Louisville, Kentucky by plainclothes police who were executing a no-knock search warrant. The 26-year-old hospital worker was shot multiple times when officers stormed the apartment after midnight as she was in bed with her boyfriend. Her death sparked racial injustice protests around the country, and only one officer involved in the raid, former Louisville detective Brett Hankinson, had been previously charged over the case. However, Hankinson, who fired 10 shots during the incident, was acquitted by a jury earlier this year and is among the 4 people to face new charges through the U.S. Department of Justice. The others are Joshua James, also a former officer, and current officers Kelly Goodlett and Kyle Meany. Attorney General Merrick Garland, who announced the new charges today, noted that the officers were being charged with civil rights offenses, unlawful conspiracy, unconstitutional use of force, obstruction, and falsification of a search warrant. Away from that, U.S. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi has arrived in Japan for the final stop on her Asian tour, following a visit to Taiwan that incensed China. Reports say the politician had disembarked from her plane at Yokota Air Base in Tokyo before greeting the U.S. ambassador and other officials with hugs and handshakes. Beijing has launched large-scale military drills in the waters around Taiwan after Pelosi this week became the highest-profile elected U.S. official to set foot on the self-ruled island in 25 years. The 82-year-old politician defied a series of stern threats from China to meet Taiwanese leaders yesterday, saying her trip made it clear that the United States would not abandon a democratic ally. Still on the foreign scene now, the United States Senate has voted to approve the accession of Finland and Sweden to the North Atlantic Treaty Organization, NATO, with the resolution gaining the support of 95 senators. A single dissenting vote came from Republican Senator Josh Hawley of Missouri, who argued that there should be less focus on security in Europe and much more on the threat from China. Recall that U.S. President Joe Biden has strongly supported the accession of Sweden and Finland to NATO and referred the matter to the Senate for consideration back in July. The vote in Washington followed a vote in France's National Assembly earlier on Wednesday, in which 209 deputies voted in favor of Finnish and Swedish membership, while 46 voted against. Reports say before the accession rules can enter into force, Finland and Sweden must be ratified by all 30 NATO member states, 2/3 of which have already given their approval for the new members. And now it's time for the latest business and stock market stories. We have Blyden Ukem standing by.
Thank you, Xavier Roberts. Good evening. It's another business day. My name is Blyden Ukem. In the news, we'll begin with UK's economy. The Bank of England, BOE, has warned that the UK will fall into recession as it raised interest rates by the most in 27 years. Interest rates rose to 1.75% as the bank battles to sustain soaring prices, with inflation now set to hit over 13%. According to the BOE Governor Andrew Bailey, the cost of living squeeze was difficult, but if it didn't raise interest rate, it would get even worse. The main reason for high inflation and low growth is soaring energy bills driven by Russia's invasion of Ukraine. A typical household will be paying almost $300 a month for their energy by October, the bank warned. The expected recession would be the longest downturn since 2008, when the UK banking system faced collapse, bringing lending to a halt. Still talking about business and markets, Brent crude falls for a second session to below $95 per barrel. Nigeria's crude price benchmark Brent crude fell to below $95 per barrel today, closing on the lowest level since February when Russia invaded Ukraine, as investors are coming to terms that higher interest rates and a global economic slowdown will heavily impact the demand. Environmental impact assessment data showed that U.S. crude stockpile grew by about 4.5 million barrels last week, despite expectations for a 629,000 barrel decline. The same report also indicated that Americans are now driving less than they did in the summer of 2020, despite pandemic restrictions during that period, with surging inflation continuing to weigh on demand. Meanwhile, OPEC agreed to raise oil and its output by a small amount of 100,000 barrels a day in September and warned of severely limited spare capacity. The Vice Chairman, FCCPC, has said that it is illegal for discos to disconnect customers' electricity without 10-day notice. The Federal Competition and Consumer Protection Commission, FCCPC, has warned that it is illegal to disconnect a consumer from the source of power supply without a 10-day prior notice from the date of bill delivery. According to the Executive Vice Chairman of FCCPC, Babatunde Irukere, at an electricity consumer complaint resolution platform in Calabar, he expressed dissatisfaction over the very poor services provided by Port Harcourt Electricity Distribution Company, PHED, in Calabar and its environments. Irukere stated that reports from the Commission's investigation had shown that PHED had not performed well in the provision of services to its consumers amid high bills. Talking about financial reports, Wema Bank's half-year report indicates record increase as revenue generates 59.59 billion naira. Wema Bank PLC has recorded growth across all financial indices in the first half of its 2022 operations. This is according to the financial data for the period, which ended on June 30th, 2022. The bank reported that its turnover for the first half of 2022 rose to 59.59 billion naira, surpassing the 39.82 billion naira recorded in the same period of 2021, indicating a 50% growth year-on-year. The lender's interest income grew faster than the revenue, posting 55% year-on-year increase as it closed the first half of this year at 49.75 billion naira, above the 32.19 billion naira of the same period of 2021. Based on growth in earnings and interest income, Wema Bank posted 5.3 billion naira profit after tax, in contrast to the 3.72 billion naira reported between January to June 2021, reflecting a raise of 42%. It's time for the Nigerian Stock Exchange report. The current market capitalization of the Nigerian Stock Exchange is 27.3 trillion naira, and at the end of today's trading session on the stock exchange platform, a total of 130.44 million shares in 3,993 deals corresponding to a market value of 1.622 billion naira were traded. The benchmark all-share index spat 12.67 basis points to close at 50,582.3 points. Compared with the previous trading day, today's data shows 8% improvement in volume, 61% decline in turnover, and 9% decline in deals. In the aggregate, 104 listed equities participated in trading, ending with 24 gainers and 16 losers. PZ Kuzon, Nigeria led the gainers with 10% share price appreciation, closing at 9 naira 35 kobo per share. While multiverse mining and exploration came at last with an end-of-day price depreciation of 10% at 1 naira 71 kobo per share. ICO Insurance recorded the highest volume of 16.3 million traded shares. This is all on business news. Do stay with Xavier Robert for the rest of the news.
Many thanks, Blyden. Still to come in the news. Nigeria to face Portugal in international friendly. Do stay with us.
A knowledge of global businesses, economic activities, a new wave of the stock market, forex market, cryptocurrencies, and NFTs creates new dynamics towards emerging market millionaires and billionaires. From the dot-com era to the oil booms, the fundamental news drives the market. This is Business 360, taking you to the business around the globe. Join us from 11:30 a.m. to 12 p.m. weekdays, exclusive on Spectrum Television. Business 360, your prism to world businesses.
Many thanks for staying tuned. Now, in health, the Assistant General Manager, Informal Sector Department, National Health Insurance Authority, Dr. Sikiru Salawuddin, says the national and state registers will be used to determine beneficiaries of the Vulnerable Group Fund. The Vulnerable Group Fund, created in the newly signed National Health Insurance Authority Act 2022, is to help provide free health insurance for vulnerable Nigerians. Salawuddin made this known during the Basic Healthcare Provision Fund webinar series. The authority's official stated further that the Vulnerable Group Fund was expected to provide health insurance for over 83 million vulnerable Nigerians, adding that it would assist in achieving universal health coverage for all Nigerians. According to the World Health Organization, universal health coverage ensures that all persons have access to the health services they need when and where they need them without financial hardship. The World Health Authority has also pledged support for the implementation of the Vulnerable Group Funds. It's over now to Bright James for trending sports stories.
Thank you, Xavier Robert. Good evening and welcome to the Sports Desk. I am Bright James. We begin with the story of Nigeria, set to face 2016 European champions Portugal, in its national friendly scheduled to hold in September. This was revealed by Nigerian Football Federation Secretary General Mohammed Sanusi. The three-time African champions were initially scheduled to play Guinea-Bissau in a double-header African Cup of Nations qualifiers in the FIFA international break. But with the qualifiers postponed until March 2023 by the Confederation of African Football (CAF) last month, the NFF are busy arranging a Grade A friendly for the Eagles. According to Sanusi, discussion with the Portuguese FA for the friendly game between Nigeria and Portugal is in top gear. Coincidentally, Cristiano Ronaldo and his team are in the same group with Ghana, who beat Nigeria to the World Cup ticket after playing a 1-1 draw with Nigeria at the Moshood Abiola National Stadium in Abuja in March. Elsewhere, Team Nigeria's medal hopeful Rosemary Chukwuma and Grace Nwokocha failed to win medal in the final of the 100 meters women's final at the 2022 Commonwealth Games in Birmingham. Now, both athletes finished 4th and 5th respectively in the women's final after returning in 11.17 seconds and 11.18 seconds respectively, as Nigeria ended the day without a single medal remained 10th in the table. The Nigerians have finished behind Ellen Thompson-Herah of Jamaica, Julian Alfred of St. Lucia, and Dario Nieta of England, who all claimed the gold, silver, and bronze medals respectively. Godson Brume, Fewashi, and Raymond Okewo all failed to qualify for the men's 100 meters final. In the men's high jump, Mike Edwards finished in 6th position after 3 attempts to scale through the 2.22 meters barrier proved unsuccessful. Now in cycling, Mark Cavendish has quit the Tour of Poland to focus on the Commonwealth Games. The man's rider completed 5 stages of the 7-stage race, but his team Quick-Step Alpha Venio confirmed he would not start at today's stage 6. Now he will compete at the Games at the 160-kilometer road race around Warwick on Sunday. Cavendish was a flag bearer for the Isle of Man at the opening ceremony, won the island's last Commonwealth gold medal in the scratch race at Melbourne in 2006. However, he has not competed at Commonwealth Games since 2010, where he finished 7th in the road race. And that's all from the Sports Desk this evening. I am Bright James. Over now to Peter Bryan for entertainment news.
Thanks, Bright James. Hello and welcome to the Entertainment Desk. I am Beto Bryan. First on our news this evening, Cynthia Okereke, Clemson Connell, released by kidnappers. Nollywood actors Cynthia Okereke and Clemson Connell have been released by their kidnappers according to a statement released by the Actors Guild of Nigeria, AGN, on its official Instagram page on Wednesday, August 3rd, 2022. The movie stars were released unhurt and in good health conditions. The Guild has arranged for medical checkups and psychological support for the victims. On behalf of their families, the national president expressed its heartfelt appreciation to the Nollywood industry and Nigerians at large for the support and prayers during the trying period. He urged members to be more security conscious on and off film sets and always take precautionary measures on their personal security at all times. This message was signed by Mona Lisa Chinda Koka, Director of Communications, Actors Guild of Nigeria. The movie stars, it will be recalled, were kidnapped while they were returning from a movie set at Oziala town in Enugu State on Friday, July 29, 2022. Mona Lisa Chinda, who is AGN's Director of Communications, broke the news in a statement made available to our news team. Chinda in a statement stated that the actors were reportedly missing after their family members confirmed they did not come back from a film location at Oziala town, Enugu State. She said the 2 members were suspected to have been kidnapped, and it increased fears amongst members of the safety of actors filming in the country. She says because of this sad development, the national president of the guild, Ejieze Emeka Rolas, has instructed all actors to avoid going to the outskirts of cities to film, except with full security cover if provided to ensure their security. Moving on to our next story, where John Legend and Chrissy Teigen are expecting a baby. American singer John Legend and Chrissy Teigen are expecting their 3rd child together. Teigen took to her Instagram page on Wednesday, August 3, 2022, where she shared a photo of her protruding belly. The last few years have been a trying and blurry emotion for her, as she says it will bring joy to the family and hearts again. She did put out a photo showing her bump. She says they have another way, which is going to be an appointment with herself, and if it is healthy, she would announce that she could breathe a sign of relief because she did feel very nervous. She said she'd never thought she would walk out of the appointment with excitement, the nerves of fear, and she said so far she's feeling hopeful and amazing. Teigen's post is coming months after she revealed that she completed her in vitro fertilization IVF treatment. The wife of the music star made this known during a chat with our entertainment team. She revealed that she finished her IVF part, so she feels much healthier and better. Teigen first shared she was going to undergo IVF in February, nearly a year and a half after suffering a devastating pregnancy loss. She had a miscarriage which saw her rush to the hospital after building profusely. Teigen and Legend announced back in August that they were expecting their child together. It will be recalled that the couple got married in 2013 after meeting on the set of the music video for Stereo in 2007. They have 2 children together, Luna and Miles. And lastly, from the entertainment desk this evening, AVRS honors Olu Jacob and Ajoke Silva with membership certificates. Iconic actor Oludotun Jacobs was recently presented with an Icon Award by the leadership of the Audiovisual Rights Society of Nigeria, AVRS, the sole government licensed collective management organization for audiovisual content. The octogenarian was also presented with a cash sum. Chairman of the AVRS, Mahmoud Ali Balogun, who presented the award at a brief presentation ceremony held at Glover Memorial Hall in Lagos on August 3, 2022, said the octogenarian actor deserved the award for his material contributions to the development and growth of the audiovisual industry in Nigeria and for fostering the finest ideals of acting profession, while highlighting the inadequate remuneration challenges in the audiovisual sector as evident in the plight of some notable players in the past and present. The AVS chairman used the opportunity of the presentation to appeal to users of audiovisual contents to meet their licensing obligations, as AVRS is the only opportunity for a vast majority of audiovisual creatives to be pensionable. The high point of the presentation ceremony was the presentation of a check of the sum of 250,000 naira and a membership certificate to the octogenarian actor who clocked 80 in July, and his actress and wife Ajoke Silva Jacobs, who was also presented with a member certificate. Thanks for listening to Entertainment News this evening. I am Peter Bryan. Now over to Xavier Roberts.
And that's all we have for you at this time. Do ensure to follow us on social media and subscribe to our YouTube channel, all of which you can find on our website, spectrumtv.ng. You have been watching Spectrum News at 9. My name is Xavier Roberts, wishing you a terrific night rest. Good night.